That brings me now to the truth of the George Floyd arrest as we see it. Now, let me just first state, it still appears to me, based on the totality of the video evidence, that there was excessive force used against George Floyd, and the officer involved should be charged. So before Media Matters can clip this and say, oh, he's saying, it still seems to me, and again, I'm just going on the video evidence, which we didn't even have the full context of until now, right? We only saw a clip of the video. We didn't see the whole thing. But under the circumstances, the knee on the neck, there should have been greater care taken to make sure that George Floyd was not in lethal distress. That's my opinion. And the officer should be held fully culpable for it. That said, what you see in the almost 10 minutes or so of video leading up to the knee on the neck segment on the pavement in Minneapolis in front of onlookers with two other officers present, what you see is George Floyd acting like an EDP, we would call it in the NYPD in New York, an emotionally disturbed person. This guy was completely having a panic attack, saying things that made no sense, and shouting constantly that he can't breathe and he's terrified and he can't breathe while he's being gently walked in handcuffs from his own car into the police car, while he's standing outside in open air. He's shouting, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. When no one's doing, and understand this, later on he's saying it when there's a knee on his neck. But the video shows him saying it when there is no pressure on his neck or anywhere else for that matter. Yes, he's handcuffed, but there's no reasonable expectation that would asphyxiate anybody. So he's yelling he can't breathe. Now, why is that relevant? It's relevant because it shows that the officers involved were courteous, respectful, and professional until they had received substantial resistance. He was resisting arrest. He was refusing to get in a car. He was claiming to be claustrophobic about getting into a car when they had already pulled him out of a car. So they pull him out. They tell him to step out to be arrested from his vehicle. And then they're trying to put him in a cop car, and he starts screaming that he's claustrophobic and that he can't breathe. He has drugs in his system. He had fentanyl in his system. He was high. Now, again, that doesn't change the excessive force component of this, and it doesn't change the lack of care given to Floyd on the ground by the officer who had him in custody. But if we're looking at severity of the charge, then it may factor in when you're looking at what the defense will be able to tell a jury. It will factor in. Then there's the bigger issue that this raises, which is that this video in no way shows cops hunting a black man for the purposes of racism out to kill him. That is not what happened. Excessive force is bad in any police situation, and cops need to be held accountable for it, and it does happen. I've written about it when it has happened. I thought that cops have committed murder. We all know this. It does happen. But to say that this incident was just a racist, practically a member of the Klan cop going out and just killing a black man for no reason is not true. Meaning that it wasn't, there's no reason to believe there were racist origins in the targeting of Floyd, or that the officers set out in their minds to physically hurt him at all. The video shows them saying, step out of the car, please step out of the car. At one point, an officer pulls his weapon and points it at Floyd, because Floyd, who is actually hysterical, just from cops saying, can you step out of the car? He's panicking, he's shouting, he's saying, don't shoot me, he's high. The officer pulls his weapon because he keeps saying, keep your hands on the steering wheel, keep your hands where I can see them, keep your hands out in full view. And Floyd doesn't comply, so he draws his weapon. Put your hands on the steering wheel. Okay. He puts his hands on the steering wheel. The officer immediately holsters his weapon, puts him in handcuffs, walks him toward the other vehicle, to the police vehicle. Why didn't we see this video until now? Why is it that a British tabloid, the Daily Mail, were the ones that got it and posted it? Shouldn't the American public, in a case of this gravity that affected American consciousness and was having a real effect, a very negative one, on cities coast to coast, shouldn't we have seen the full context of the arrest? They had the body camera footage. Why do we have to wait months to see this? Because it does not support the narrative of racist, evil cops. It shows that cops were challenged with a very difficult situation, a criminal from his past who was high and not complying with lawful orders, and then because he had said so many times, I can't breathe, the officer, and he should be held accountable for this because it's on him, right? You've got someone handcuffed, you got your knee on their neck. That's not okay. That's criminal. He killed the man. So again, I'm not saying the officer isn't guilty of excessive force leading to a death here. I'm not saying he shouldn't face charges. I still believe he should. But the narrative of a racist cop just going out to kill a black man for no reason whatsoever other than racism, which is what we were fed. That's what we were told. That's why LeBron James went out and said that black people are, quote, literally being hunted when they leave their homes. That was the LeBron James quote, right? That's just not true. That's not, and no one would watch this. No fair-minded person watches this video and says, oh, these cops just want to kill this guy. No, it was the cops were dealing with an emotionally disturbed, under the influence of drugs person having a complete panic and did not handle it appropriately. And one officer put pressure on his neck, killed him, led to his death, and is going to be held accountable for it. But there's no systemic targeting of a black man by his race from the start of this video that makes you think that this was a racially motivated killing. And this is what there's going to be a lot of debate and fighting over right now. It was excessive force dealing with a difficult arrest, which is illegal. But that's not what we were told this was in the beginning. We were told this was an execution. We were told that this was just sheer, pure racism. I think that's a much more difficult case to make when you see the way these officers interacted with Floyd, spoke to Floyd, worked with him until he simply refused to get into the cop car after all kinds of asking, cajoling, practically begging the officers, please just get in the car. Please, we'll roll down the windows for you. We'll make sure you're okay. That's what the racist cops say. Please just get in the car. We'll roll down the windows and make sure you're comfortable. And the guy wouldn't get in the car. So then Officer Chauvin puts him on the ground, puts his knee on his neck, and kills him. But remember, he's saying, I can't breathe, which is what he had been saying for 10 minutes before when he could breathe. Hey, Team Buck, thank you so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, please click that little thumbs up button so then it will log as liked. And also, if you want to see more great content from The First, please click subscribe.